Hello, my name is Stephen Boardman, and this is my video blog on baseball umpiring. The main source that we used for this vlog was Bruce Weber's novel As They See 'Em, which is a first-person account with interviews with umpires, players, managers, and other MLB officials about umpiring in Major League Baseball. One of the main points that I'm going to make in this vlog is the essential invisibleness that umpires the role that they play in the game today. An- Another main point is why does everybody hate umpires so much? And then a third main point from the book is whether or not there's a bias for some players among umpires. And then also we're going to cover the new replay system that has been implemented this season into Major League Baseball. So first off, according to Weber, umpires are almost invisible to fans when they are watching the game. Why is this? Umpires have way more movement than I thought they were, and I've played in and watched thousands of games during my whole entire life. So why does nobody really notice the umpires? You're at a younger age. There's only two umpires, so they are kind of noticeable when you're playing the game, but they might be to the parents also that are watching because they are not as good as major league umpires. But when watching a professional game, the umpires virtually go unnoticed because they just have good rhythm, good flow, and they cover for each other and they know when to cover for each other on certain types of balls hit. One type of this ball might be when the ball is hit down the third base line. The umpires must rotate to accommodate for the ball and where it's hit. The third base umpire has to follow the ball out down the line to make sure that it stays whether or not it's fair fall. Because of this, the home plate umpire must rush to third base to cover for him in case there's a play at third base with a runner. The first base umpire, because it's very unlikely that there's going to be a play at first, rotates to home plate while the second base umpire stays put at second base. This allows all bases that are most likely going to be in play to be covered by an umpire in good position to call out or safe on a runner. It's kind of amazing that diehard baseball fans don't notice this or don't know about this. Despite this fact that the umpires seem invisible out there on the field, why does everybody think they suck so much? The answer to this is complex. One reason I think is because blown calls have a way bigger effect on the game and are way more noticeable than the right call. There are 27 outs in every baseball game, so that means there are at least 27 calls for each team batting, which totals to be 54 outs total. You throw in balls and strikes, and umpires are making a call every play of the game. Starting pitchers usually throw typically 100 pitches in an outing, so that's over 100 calls the home plate umpire has to make on his own. Also with umpires, there's a variable strike zone amongst them because there's a very loosely described strike zone defined by the MLB. It's loosely defined as knees to chest or shoulders. However, many strike zones are smaller in the MLB because the pitchers are more talented, whereas in youth baseball and high school baseball, it's almost strike zones are expanded to improve rate of play and to add a flow to the game. I think if the MLB regulated the strike zone more and emphasized to umpires that this is the strike zone, you need to call around this strike zone. Yes, every umpire would still have a slightly different strike zone, but I think everyone would have a little bit closer, and it might help the players out and help them like the umpires a little bit more. Something that's helped with the variable strike zone in MLB history was the merging of AL and NL umpires. The NL used to be the pitching league and would have a wider strike zone and lower scoring games as a result, while the AL had the DH and wanted higher scoring games, so the strike zone would be stretched out a little bit to help the hitters. This brings me to my next point, that according to Weber, accurate pitchers such as Greg Maddux could get a larger zone because they were so good at hitting the corners that they were able to stretch the strike zone out. I think that this is a possibility, but I also think that respect could be a factor. When Maddux, after 10, 20 years that Maddox was in the league, umpires knew who he was. They largely respected him, and he was considered to be one of the greatest pitchers of all time. I think this could have affected his strike zone and bought him some more room along the corners. But I also think his accuracy earned him that respect, and he's able to stretch the corners out because umpires know that he's going to hit his spot, and if his spot's slightly off the plate, they're probably going to give it to him because that's usually how baseball goes, which is usually a good thing because it helps the pitchers out, helps the game flow, and it's always fun to watch a good pitching performance. This brings me to my next topic of instant replay in baseball. According to the MLB rulebook, each manager is allowed one challenge, and if they are out of this challenge before the seventh inning, the umpires are allowed to challenge plays after the seventh inning on their own or with the suggestion of the manager that wants a play challenged. The replay system is a good start, even though people have their complaints about it. I think so far it has led to less ejections because managers get a second look at the play and therefore are less likely to argue with umpires. I'm actually not a fan of the replay system yet because as a Red Sox fan it has been frustrating as we've seen calls go against us time and time after again. And even John Farrell has been ejected for arguing a replay, and based on the video replay, it seemed like he was correct when the Yankees player's foot slid off the bag and was tagged out, but the replay official missed it. I think one improvement to the replay system could be adding more MLB officials that are monitoring the replays, because what I've heard now is there's only one or two people up there, and MLB plays usually 13 to 15 games a day, so you need more than one guy watching games, I think. But to sum things up, I would say that MLB umpiring is in a much better state than NBA officiating. There's much less bias, and when there is bias, it's usually earned by players such as Greg Maddux, who have the pedigree to earn the extra inch or two on the edge, on the corner of the strike zone because they're so good. And I think that everyone should just find a little love for umpires because it's a tough job that they do, and it's a lot of pressure because all the media scrutiny and everything that comes with doing the job and having to get everything right.